Hello and welcome back to This Week in New York City Transit. We got a lot of things to talk about in this video, so let's get straight into it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you would like to see more of these videos each week. Starting with some good news, on Tuesday, 2 MTA workers were honored by the Transit Authority for their actions after a person was spotted on the tracks near the First Avenue station on the L line. The New York City Transit interim president, Craig Cipriano, said, "Both Mandy and Tamika followed their training while also going above and beyond to make sure the customers on board were informed. Their actions are emblematic of the New York City Transit workforce, who are always ready for any situation thrown their way." The incident occurred on November 23rd when train operator Tamika Waller spotted an unauthorized person on the tracks near the First Avenue station and immediately called the Rail Control Center. The RCC then halted all Manhattan-bound trains. Both of the MTA workers made attempts to get the person to board the train, and passengers joined in on the efforts. Power was eventually cut to the Manhattan-bound section of the L line so police could access the tracks and reach the unauthorized person. L trains were delayed for an hour or so as NYPD officers worked to get the person off of the tracks and out of the system. I'm glad to see an incident that could have been much more graphic and grueling coming to a calm conclusion, and that's all thanks to the MTA crew in charge of that L train. Sticking with the great news, the Gateway Tunnel project, which is planned to renovate and expand the existing Hudson River tunnels, which carries over 450 Amtrak and New Jersey Transit trains each day, has finally gotten the green light. The project was issued a permit by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers last Wednesday, which will allow the construction of the $12.3 billion project. For comparison, Phase 2 of the 2nd Avenue subway will only cost about $6 billion. Gotta love how we're saying only to that huge price tag now. $10.1 billion of that $12.3 billion price tag will be going to the new tunnel construction, while the other $2.2 billion will be going to rehabilitating the old tunnels. The New Jersey director of the Regional Plan Association said, "The Gateway project receiving permit approval means commuters across the region are one step closer to faster, more reliable rail service. This is a great step in the right direction and shows the federal government's commitment to advancing this critical project. Now we need an improved funding rating from the Federal Transit Administration as soon as possible to keep the momentum going." Last month, Gateway Development Corporation officials said federal financing could be in place by the end of 2022, with construction on the project starting in summer 2023. All of this would lead to a projected completion year of 2035, so we're still a long way from seeing this completed. I do hope that when it is done, however, that there will be increased talks about a unified transit network in the New York metro area, allowing Thru-Running in Penn Station so services like LIRR can travel into New Jersey. Now on to some not so good news. The MTA is facing resistance from property owners in the path of the 2nd Avenue subway. An environmental assessment for Phase 2 of the line was completed in 2018, in which the assessment estimated as many as 170 people living in about 65 homes would be displaced by the work, and up to 505 workers could also be affected within commercial spaces disrupted by the project. The MTA, however, since then said that it would likely need less property than originally projected due to cost containment strategies and design build work. While they will need less property than originally expected, the owners of several sites near the northern end of the extension to 125th Street sued the MTA and Manhattan Federal Court this month, accusing the agency of thwarting the development of properties near the Metro North station at 125th Street and Park Avenue. It is sad to see some residents and commercial owners being displaced. However, this new extension to the system will hold much more good for the neighborhood in the long run. And again, with some not so great news, according to State Controller Thomas DiNapoli, the MTA is way behind on spending and projects. It was reported late last week that key projects from the last capital plan are still not complete, including new subway cars, signal installations, and Sandy resiliency projects. Now we know that the MTA is currently in the process of testing the new R211A subway cars, along with them slowly rolling out CBTC throughout the system. The controller notes that subway cars should be replaced every 40 years, and currently the MTA has the R46 units still in service, and they are 45 years old. The next units in line are the R62 and R62As, which are currently in their late 30s. Now, in my opinion, most of the older cars in the system, excluding the R46s, still have a good decade left in them, as the R62 and R62As are no slugs. However, for the oldest cars in the system, the MTA has been a bit slow to get them out. All of this, though, is thanks to the multiple delays with getting the new cars in the system to replace the older ones. The first R179s were supposed to be delivered by 2014, however they weren't until 2017, and we all know what happened then. The same goes for the R211s, with the first R211As scheduled to be delivered in July 2020, then the pandemic happened and they weren't delivered for testing until June of this year. State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli wrote in a statement, "The MTA is getting a large infusion of federal infrastructure funds, but its long-term finances are still in trouble as it wrestles with an overdue list of repairs and upgrades and growing debt. It needs to reassess and focus its priorities to get money where it is most needed to restore the system and bring riders back. Protecting against the growing threat of climate change must also be among its top priorities because climate change threatens all aspects of our regional transit system." The MTA still hasn't finished repairs following Hurricane Sandy in 2012, with less than half of the $7.7 billion worth of project being complete, and a third of the work is currently under construction. We'll just have to wait and see how long it takes for the MTA to finish these projects from its last capital plan, and whether or not the MTA will get better at completing these projects in a more timely manner remains to be seen. What do you think about all of this? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. Have a nice day, everyone. Peace.